No man, for any considerable period of time, can wear one face to himself and another to the multitude without finally getting bewildered as to which may be the true. Nathaniel Hawthorne, 19th century author that was widely known for having written the book The Scarlet Letter. Many of us read this in high school, some in college. The premise, for those of you who haven't, is thus: if you make a mistake, if you do something wrong, you're going to be labeled in a way that everybody knows who you are and the mistake you made for the rest of your life. You must wear that scarlet letter A, giant air quotes there, for whatever it is you've done wrong for the rest of your life. This is where we're at with the situation with Israel. It's the common theme all of the anti-Israel people have. You see, they want to look at this decision from then, or that decision from this other time, or this was done or that was done, and they want to label Israel with this giant scarlet letter A and say, well, because we can show that at this one moment in time they did this one thing, we're going to then say that they're the bad guys. And then, by default, anybody who ever opposes a bad guy is obviously a good guy. And based on that, that's where they get their ridiculous support for the innocent Palestinians. Patriot Nurse had a real good breakdown on the innocent Palestinians a day or two ago. I definitely would suggest go watching it. But let me put this in another context real quick that I think might illuminate the idea for anyone out there who's perhaps had children. Let's say you've caught your kid doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. Maybe they lied, maybe they snuck out, maybe they peeping Tom. Who knows? Got into something they weren't supposed to get into. Now, I think a lot of parents, especially these days, would probably sit down and say, look, now I know there are temptations in life to do things you're not supposed to do. Don't do this. And would probably, first offense, depending on what the offense was, forego it to maybe loss of TV or internet privileges for a short period of time or whatever. Something like that. It wouldn't be the end of the world. But what about the second time? Or the third time? Or the fourth time? Or the fifth time? My question is this. At what point would you then take that crime and tattoo it across their forehead for the rest of their life to warn the world? Warn my kid, I would never do that to my kid. Really? Even after the fourth time? The fifth time? Don't you think people should know? Don't you think, are you trying to hide something? What are you trying to hide about your kid? Do you see the point there? See how it's a completely different thing? You see, we have something known as forgiveness and grace. And there's also a scripture in the Bible that says, when I was a child, I thought and spake as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. But what if I told you, in this country, the government has been labeling a great many people with scarlet letter A's for a long time? Because, you ready for this? They failed in an attempt to do something greater. To do something beyond themselves. Failing in that attempt, they got labeled for the rest of their night. Wait till you see this. Now, real quick, before we get into it, just want to say thank you always. All of you joining us at Patreon. God bless every single one of you. Had quite a few signups last night. I am humbled, amazed that you guys are standing in the breach, making the difference. This issue with YouTube and the censorship is just gotten completely out of hand. It started out as a nuisance and a problem, and it graduated to kind of a concern, and now it's near catastrophic for a lot of folks. And the one thing that I have is you guys. I do videos on a daily basis, and I try to bring good, decent, relevant content to everyone, but I have to wear kid gloves here at YouTube. Over there at Patreon, I don't have to, because I have partnered with Vimeo. It's a different server. It's a completely different part of the internet, and it's not free. So those of you stepping up and making the difference, God bless every single one of you. Now, what does this have to do with anything going on in the world? What does the analogy have to do with? There's this little tete-a-tete going on between Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens. that is demonstrative of the real problem that a lot of people aren't seeing. Basically, to boil it down in a nutshell, I'm not going to get into the whole, well, I'm not going to say that, I'll get in trouble. When two women get into an argument, I'm not going to say what that is, but Megyn Kelly on the left, 53 years old. Candace Owens on the right, 34 years old. Candace Owens used to be very, very, very left, and then she had her grow up adult moment, and she has then changed her direction in life. Meaning at one time, somebody probably would have tried to label her with a giant A or a giant, in this case, giant L for liberal, or P for progressive, or whatever. And she got into this argument with Megyn Kelly, who says all these people who signed this letter at Harvard about Palestine and all this nonsense, that they need to go on a permanent blacklist so that nobody hires them ever. Now, some people are like, well, that's right, that's what we should do. So now we're back to the scarlet letter again. What you do as a child, and make no mistake, they're 18 and 19 and 20 and 21, and they're being indoctrinated with a bunch of crap. Now, Candace Owens got out of it. Candace Owens had her wake-up moment. And and believe me, she even brags about it. And not in the sense of that she's proud of it, but she says, look, me and most of the people that are on my staff, we are all former indoctrinated liberals who finally realized this is crap. This is garbage. And that they thank God that they weren't labeled or put on some blacklist for their future, because they could, they would want to have a voice to say, look, Miss Kelly, we're sorry that we haven't made all perfect decisions like you have your whole life. But sometimes when you're young, you do stupid young things. Now, those of you out there who've been in the military know what a DD-214 is. This references what I said earlier about the U.S. government doing this. I ain't perfect, but I do have a DD-214. Those of you that don't know what that is, it's the Defense Department document that releases you from active duty. It is your discharge paper. And it has everything you did from literally the moment you signed up at MEPS, everything, every moment, every change of station, every job duty, everything ever you did right and wrong is all coded on that DD-214. Now, let me give you a philosophical here. How many of you know or knew that adultery in the military can earn you a dishonorable discharge, which will then be coded on your DD-214? Let's say Lieutenant Colonel Limpdick over here on the left and his wife are not, having a good time, and she gets lonely one night and she goes and finds some young PFC that's full of energy, let's put it that way. And she decides for a day or two or a weekend to help him with his cardio in overnight sessions at the local Super 8. And he finds out about it. Well, technically, at that point, he could lose his mind, and this has been done before. And he would then have this young E1 or E2 or whatever thrown out of the military, dishonorably discharged from the military for having done this with his wife because he was angry. And he probably more wanted to punish her than punish him. But here's the thing that people don't get about Article 134 that talks about this. Most people think, well, what does this have to do with anything? Okay, this is a dishonorable discharge offense. Okay? Do you know what happens for the rest of your life if you get a dishonorable discharge from the military? Loss of all veteran and government benefits, loss of disability and unemployment benefits, loss of voting rights, and loss of the ability to legally own or possess firearms, inability to qualify for bank loans, college financial aid, difficulty in obtaining a criminal record, all this kind of stuff. That's what a dishonorable discharge includes. Now, this is the same thing we've been talking about. That whole scarlet letter A, that young 18, 19-year-old who made a poor decision that one weekend, that one time with that one woman, is now going to, when he's 45 or 55 or 65. He's not going to be able to have a gun. He's not going to be able to get bank loans. He's not going to be able to vote. Now, here's the kicker. Lieutenant Colonel Limpdick over here and his wife might reconcile 5 years, 10 years down the road, or become friends. Maybe they fix things. Guess what? Doesn't change a thing for this young kid, does it? Does it? That blow your mind? See, this is what happens. This is what happens when you run into this either or thinking. See, just because somebody did this one thing that one time, just because somebody did that one thing this one time, we are then now therefore going to label them forever. You see, you wouldn't want it to happen to you. You wouldn't want it to happen to your kid. You wouldn't do it to your kid. It could ruin a life for the rest of your life. And whether you agree or disagree with, hold on here, either one of what's going on right now, I guarantee when Megyn Kelly is 73 and Candace Owens is 54, they're probably going to agree and disagree on a lot more things. But those labels, if they were to be stamped into the forehead of young kids, could ruin their life. You're going to basically set them on the road for the rest of your life. Let me continue the analogy real quick. This kid that gets drummed out of the military unceremoniously is going to hate the military for the rest of his life. And he's going to become the most anti-military person that ever lived. Might have been a good soldier. Might have been an asset to the military. Might have gone on to do great things in life. But because of that one weekend, that one time that he did that one thing with that one lieutenant colonel's wife, guess what? Is that right? Is that right? Now does this make sense? Now does this make sense? See, I don't care who you are. I don't care how young you are, how old you are, where you're from. You've got something out there. You've got something out there that you probably wouldn't want tattooed across your forehead to let everybody know. God knows I do. God knows I've got a list. I don't know that there'd be probably enough room on my entire body to tattoo all of the things that I've done wrong I wouldn't want people to know about. You see, that's why I'm thankful of the stone being rolled away. I'm thankful for the blood of Jesus Christ, the very basic fundamental tenet of Christianity. The very basic is that we don't do this. We don't, what we refer to as put our hands under the blood to try to reach and try to label this person did this person did that, this person did this other thing. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were three Jewish boys who had had their names changed, forcibly had their names changed by a king who thought he was above God, Nebuchadnezzar. How many of you knew that? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, their names weren't Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They were given Babylonian names by a king who thought he was greater than God. Now, I'm sure if you wanted to look into the history of these three young men, if it was written down somewhere, I'll bet you anything they might have done something wrong. They might have done something they're not too proud of, but yet he was still there in the fire with them. Was he or was he not? And this story is one that's told not only amongst those who are Jewish, but it's told amongst Christians as well, that he will be there. See, if you want to, go ahead and troll God. Troll God all you want to, and go through the 10 Commandments and pull the whole actually out on all of it. Thou shalt not steal. Really? What if I'm starving? Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Is that saying we should all just be thankful to eat bugs? Thou shalt, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Well, none of the days that I know of are labeled Sabbath. Which one is which? I don't know. So you control God if you want. That doesn't absolve you from attempting to obey to the very best of your ability. But as we know, we fail. We fail. And just like you would never tattoo your kid with everything he's ever done wrong so that everybody could see it for the rest of his life, no more should you not stand with Israel. Because they may have done this, they may have done that, they may have done the other. The Bible's very clear on this. You see, the other side doesn't even have a concept of Judeo-Christian value. They don't even have an idea, of what the plan of salvation, of what God is. For them, there is only sin and you paying for it. There is only sin and you paying for it. That's it on the other side. So I will leave it there. No man, I don't care who you are, for any considerable period of time can wear one face to himself, meaning knowing your sin, and another to the multitude. Well, my sin isn't as great as that one over there, or that one over there, or that one over there, without finally getting bewildered as to which might be the true. So I guess that would be my asking. What would it take? What would it take for you to do this to someone, where they would have to wear some mark in public that everybody knew what they had done, every mistake? Take away their voting rights, take away their gun rights, take away their ability to live a life like a normal person because they made that one mistake that one time. Well, what would it take? I'm serious. I want to hear it. I guess I'll leave it there. God bless. Thank you so much, all of you, very much. I appreciate it. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.